Coconuts are large seeds. They're about the size of a bowling ball. There's no way they'd blow in the wind. Instead, we saw in this video how once they drop to the ground, a coconut gets picked up by ocean waves. On the water, a coconut floats, like a little raft. Ocean currents carry the seed far away, usually until it lands on another island. So if you dumped a whole bunch of sand in the ocean and created a brand new island with nothing on it, if you come back to your new island in a few years, you'd probably notice coconut palm trees growing on it. Each coconut washes up on shore and sprouts into a tree. So palm trees use the water, not the wind, to send their seeds away. There are other examples too. This plant, called the sea bean, is another. Sea beans are a type of bean, and they produce the largest bean pods in the world. Forget those green beans on your dinner plate. A single sea bean pod is bigger than your dinner plate. Each pod has little sections that fall away individually, like this. And each of these sections is a container or wrapper. Inside of that is the seed. Like coconuts, these seeds float in water, and they'll float a long, long distance. Sea beans from South America have been found all the way on the shores of Australia. That's the other side of the world. So floating on the water, could this be the solution to the mystery of how the koa trees traveled so far? Let's finally look at koa seeds and see what we can find. Notice the seeds are in a pod. It even looks a bit like the sea bean. Sending seeds by water so that they're carried by ocean currents, that works really well for coconuts and sea beans. But not that many plants spread their seeds by ocean current, and here's why. The ocean is salty. Salt water kills most plants, unless the plant or seeds have special ways to deal with that. The part of the coconut that we eat, the white part, is the inside of the seed. But on the outside is a thick shell. That's the dark brown part of any coconut. And then surrounding that is an even thicker shell called the husk. If you've ever seen a coconut for sale at the grocery store, it almost never includes the husk. That part's been thrown away. So a coconut seed has all this protection from the salty water. That's why coconuts have no trouble with salty ocean water. And the sea bean, too, has both a thick shell and a protective wrapper around it. Koa seeds? They hardly have any protective shell at all. We've even done experiments, and we see that they die in salt water after just a few days. They won't grow or sprout once they've been soaked in salt water. But in order to make the trip from Hawaii to Reunion Island, koa seeds would have had to have floated in salty water for months. So as tempting as it is to think maybe koa seeds traveled on ocean currents from Hawaii to Reunion Island, it seems impossible. So we've seen that plants have ways of sending their seeds away in order to reach a good place for the seeds to find sunlight and grow. Some plants use the wind to carry their seeds, and others, like the coconut and sea bean, use the water to carry their seeds. So wind and water. Are there other ways that plants move their seeds? There are. You probably recognize these. They're cherries. Cherries are a tasty berry, a type of fruit. But think about when you bite into them. You have to be mindful of that stony thing in the center. That stony thing, that's not just there to annoy you. It's the seed of the cherry tree. Here in the background, you can see the cherries while they're still on the tree. A cherry seems like a very unlikely seed to get moved around much. It has no helicopter or wings to fly, and it would shrivel up in the ocean. But every seed has some way of being spread. Do you have any ideas how a cherry seed might get spread? Well, let's think about what happens with a cherry. As a food, it's tasty. And not just to human beings, but to raccoons, squirrels, and foxes too. Just like us, these animals have the pesky problem of enjoying the fruit part of the cherry, but not wanting to eat the stony part inside, the seed of the cherry tree. So you simply chew around it and then spit out the seed. So you see, now the seed has been spread. It's been sent away from the plant so that it might get sunlight and a new place to grow. The animal has done the work for the plant, even if the animal doesn't realize it. So animals are a third way that some plants spread their seed. There's wind, there's water, and there's animals. Whenever you see plants with fruits or berries, you can know that it's an animal which is doing the work of moving the seed away from the parent plant. Perhaps it was an animal then which ate koa seeds and gradually made its way from one side of the globe to the other. A raccoon, maybe, or a fox, or a mouse, or a squirrel. But we must keep in mind that there's no land connection between Hawaii and Reunion. They're both islands. With no path to follow, which animal could have taken the seeds from one island to the other?